Imagine coming into our next PLC, and as you walk through the door, I handed you a piece of paper and a pencil and said, go ahead and have a seat. We are going to be taking an assessment today on the entire district-wide handbook. How would you feel if that's the way our day started, if that's the way our meeting started? You know, a lot of us have some negative feelings about assessment from when we were in school, and maybe think sometime about that. Just take 10 minutes to think about those feelings and why did it make you feel that way. One thing I have figured out along the way that is that student motivation starts with me. I mean, we're in the perfect position to improve students' motivation. I think about my stepson in college. He really struggled for the first couple of years of college. It took him 5 years to do a 4-year program because he was repeating classes. Man, did he hate chemistry. And he hated those language arts classes that he was required to take. But as time went on, he had these instructors that made him fascinated about what he was learning. He had content that he was excited about, and he was motivated to learn. We need to think about that. We may give these high stakes tests, and it's not high stakes math, it's really a diagnostic test that's going to help to move us as instructors, but it's a pretty big deal, this MAP test, and we want to get a good picture of our students at that time. And later on down the road, there's IAR and the ISA, and we need these to capture what our students know. And this doesn't start when we start doing test prep. It doesn't start the week or 2 or even 3 weeks before we give these tests. It is every day in our classroom, and students' view of assessment and how they engage in assessment, it starts with the everyday. We need to have a classroom that we have a really meaningful relationship with our students, so that it's where students feel safe, where they're able to ask questions and take risks. They need to view us as something that is an inspiration. We need to be a model of success by sharing our personal stories and struggles and how we have learned from our mistakes, so that they can see that struggling is part of learning, so that they can see that in the classroom it's safe for them to struggle and to learn, and that is going to impact their success with these everyday occurrences. We need to establish, not just for these tests, but every day, high expectations and clear goals. They need to be transparent. The kids need to know this. What is our goal? How are they doing individually on that goal? And how are we doing as a class? These informed students are going to understand not only what they are learning, but why. Kindergarten is working on a PDSA right now where they are taking a look at sorting shapes. Now, when they gave the pre-assessment to the students, they didn't just hand them these manipulatives and said, sort them. They said, we are going to be learning about sorting. What do you know already? Can you sort these shapes for me? Can you sort them a different way? I mean, the students knew why they were doing this activity. They knew what they were supposed to demonstrate. It was very transparent what they were supposed to do. Our lesson plans are based on assessment. We can plan out a week, heck, we can plan out a month. I know teachers that say, I have my whole year planned. But what you are going to do the next day is impacted by what happened today. I know with my students, if they didn't get something, that lesson plan for tomorrow, it either is out the door or it's delayed and I need to do something before I go on to the next lesson. It's all about these assessments that we do along the way. And it also has to do with the feedback that we give our students on these things that they're doing. They need to know right away, what did I do? How did I do? They need to be able to reply to you. We need to have feedback that's immediate, that's looping, and that's really specific, that focuses on how can they grow? How can they grow? Not a great job, way to go, or a star. What specifically did they do well, and what can they do to move forward? So we need to motivate our students throughout the year through these things. That doesn't seem like motivating them for a test, but it's really preparing them to be successful because it becomes part of their day. We can do some things for next week to prepare our students for the MAP test to motivate them. We need to let them know what they're doing. What is the MAP test? I mean, some of them know, some of them don't know. Even whatever grade level it is, have them explain it to you. What is the MAP test? Now you're going to know what they know about the MAP test. How does the test work? the adaptive part of it. Why are their scores important? And what will you do with those scores? What will they do with those scores? And who else will know their scores? Our attitude about this test is going to be very reflective in our students' attitudes around the test. So we need to be positive and be excited, and we need to be crystal clear about of the importance of it. We should be conferencing with our students. I know this is like so last minute, but students need to see where they have been, where they have come to now, and where they need to go. They need to understand that. Sitting down and looking at the student growth report with them, talking about what they've done in the past. What has made you successful? Or what is holding you back? Share with them what their goals are going to be on this test that they're about to take later that afternoon or the next day in two days, so that they know. I actually would say, don't take the NWEA goal as their goal. We need to close the gap. We've got some urgency here. Make it at least 1 point higher, because if you give them a goal that right now, say they are in the red, the goal by NWA is going to keep them in the red. We need to start closing that gap, so giving more rigorous goals. Have them practice logging into the test and taking a practice test or a skill check, so that they can troubleshoot, so that you can troubleshoot. You don't want to run into these problems on the day of the test. Make sure your devices are working. Make sure they know how to control the volume. Make sure their headsets are working. Don't try and problem solve those things on the day of the test. Have a plan that you create collaboratively with the students. If a pencil breaks while they're doing some writing, computations, and math, what do they do? What should they do? If they need to go to the bathroom, what do they do? If they need to stretch, if they need to take a break, what are they going to do during the test? That's not things that you want to be figuring out along the way during the test. The day of the test, now that you've communicated who's going to look at the test, write on the board. Do your best for you, for your families, and all of the teachers that you have had before. I mean, they need to know that the most important person that's going to see this test is themselves. It's not the principal. It's not you. It's themselves. And this is for their opportunity to show themselves how much they have learned. And yes, their families will see the test. And yes, the principal will see the test. And yes, you will see the test. And future teachers down the road are going to see how they scored on the test. There's a lot of people, but the most important person is them. And way after they take the test, you can do it that day. You can do it that minute. If you've got the time and you've got the management that you can do it, let them know how they did. Let them know how they scored on the test. Did they meet their goal? And follow up with a post-conference. This is part of their data binders. How did they score on the test? What is the plan moving forward? Let them know that you've made a plan given these scores. What have you done with them? You don't need to be specific about it, but how these scores have been so important to you, and this is how you're going to do what? How you're going to plan instruction, how you're going to break them into groups, how you're going to whatever. Let them know what you are doing with these scores, because this data is crucial and it's important, and they need to know that. This has to happen immediately. All of that, otherwise it's meaningless. It's disconnected from the test, and that gets worse the younger that they are. We need to have them immediately, so that they feel this urgency to learn moving forward to the next test. The assessment, it shouldn't be a mystery. It shouldn't be scary, and it shouldn't be dreaded. It should be something that has all of these positive things around it. And they need to know that growing and learning is exciting. And we're going to do that in our day-to-day, and that's going to transfer over into these higher stakes tests. If you have any questions, if you want to talk about this, I know we've got some short notice, but even down the road, after this test, prior to the next assessment, if you want to talk about how these things work in your everyday lessons, reach out. We're here to help you out anytime. Reach out to your grade level. If you see somebody that's really successful at it, if you want some modeling done, reach out. That's what we're here for. Remember, it's that collective teacher efficacy. It's that knowing that I can do this and that we can do this together. So have a great weekend. Thanks very much.